Thank you guys for joining us here at Take Action South by Southwest 2026, presented by Let Music Fill My World and Artists for Action. Give it up for attending. Yes, we're happy to have you here. We have a pretty amazing and incredible couple days for you here. A lot of informative panels, a lot of epic performances, some very cool master classes, activations where you could win a ton of cash, and also specialized merch capsules. But we're here because music powers change, and that's what we want to highlight. And the two areas of focus that we're going to be talking about throughout these two couple days and nights are about music education and access to music education and mental health in music. So happy to have all of you here with us today. With me here is my compadre, and excellent co-founder of Let Music Fill My World. Please say hi to Miss Kaylee Tull.
I wonder if you should say comadre. What do you say if it's a woman? Can you all hear me? No? Check. Still no. How about now? Okay, I will just talk louder. You missed a good joke. Just know that it was good. But anyway, really great to be here. As Matt said, I run an organization called Let Music Fill My World, and we are on a mission to ensure that every student in America has access to and the ability to participate in music education. It sounds like a very basic thing that we all love and support, but over 4 million students in America don't even have access, and that doesn't even get into the participation. We are operating right now the Music Matters Challenge, which is an opportunity for anyone here to win up to $335,000. There's several different prizes, and it's all about raising awareness about why music education matters. So check us out online, on socials, learn a little bit more about Let Music Fill My World, why music education is so crucial for youth, and it should be an amazing day. So thanks so much.
And you'll see Kaylee up on the stage a little bit later. She's moderating two panels and may be performing later. With Five for Fighting, with John Andrasik, who's her co-founder of Let Music Fill My World. A lot on that coming up, but right now we have a great panel about from discovery to superfans, powering artist growth in the new music economy, and our fearless leader here is Emily White. So please give it up.
Go. This should work now.
So I'm good.
Now? Yeah. Okay, great. Okay, thank you, Matthew and Kaylee. Welcome to Winter South by Southwest. So, as Matthew mentioned, this is from discovery to superfans, powering artist growth in the new music economy. My name is Emily White. I'm a best-selling author of a book called How to Build a Sustainable Music Career and Collect All Revenue Streams. I'm also the host of the podcast of the same name. That's the #1 music business podcast in the world. And I'm the CEO of Impact Data and Events, where we work with Johns Hopkins University to statistically increase voter turnout. If you are an artist or company interested in a custom data analysis from Johns Hopkins and free strategies, very light lift strategies from us, to statistically increase voter turnout in this crucial midterms year, let me know. The last thing I'll say is, there was an election determined in Florida last week by 1 vote. So this stuff really does matter. But Matt said music powers social change. That's why we're all here. And without artists, there's no music. So on today's panel, we're going to talk about how success in today's music industry depends on more than streams. It requires discovery, fan connection, and community building. So we're going to examine the platforms and strategies helping artists expand globally, deepen fan relationships, and convert attention into lasting careers. And I'm going to let my esteemed panelists introduce themselves. We'll start with Brian.
I'm happy to introduce you, Emily. You're very talented, and I'm honored to be sitting next to you. So I'm Brian Miller. I lead TuneCore. TuneCore is the leading independent artist development platform around the world. We just celebrated our 20th year of helping independent artists get their music out. and get heard. It's not enough for artists to make great music. They have to find their fans. We're also fortunate enough to have on the panel one of our amazing artists, so I'll let him introduce himself.
Hello, I am I didn't say that I was an amazing.
I get to say that. We helped the artist discover
Not
it.
me. That didn't come from me. Do you guys hear me?
Yeah.
All right, cool. I am Harrison Cohen. I make music under the name DUUNES. I'm an alt-rock artist based out of New York City, and I am said independent artist that is releasing music through TuneCore. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Two. Testing 1 2.
Same problem as me.
Yeah. Wired one. Always go wired. Always go old school.
Let me turn this off.
Unplanned to Brian's handoff. I'm also a TuneCore artist over the years. But I started a company called Stationhead. My name is Ryan Starr, with the idea to connect fans around the music, right? Listen together, bring fandoms together to celebrate the artist and to be seen. We've had a lot of success, tens of millions of users, been behind countless number ones over the last few years. Because when you put the power of these great fandoms together and give them missions, they could do great things along with the artists themselves. So that's what Stationhead's been rocking, and handed it to you.
Thank you for the wired mic. I don't know if this one works. I'm Dorian, co-founder of Groover, which is the platform that helps artists and their reps connect with music curators. So tastemakers could be record labels, managers, could be blogs, radio stations, playlists. And our goal is to ensure that when you send your music, somebody on the other side is going to listen to it and give you feedback, positive or negative. And it's been going on for 8 years now. I feel old. It's like my 8th South by.
Dude, it's like my 20th. Come on. You're a child.
That's why he's over there, right? This is the adults, you know.
I should be there.
And we have now we have 700,000 artists on the platform. I think the first time I came, we had 700 artists on the platform, so that's cool to see. And yeah, no, everywhere in the world, and super happy to be here on this panel with these great people.
Good thing it's not COVID, because you'd be like, I can't touch this mic right
I
now.
know. That's right. I'm not a TuneCore artist. I'm not an artist, so it doesn't count.
Sorry, the other panels over there?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm Tommy. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Single Music. We are a Shopify plugin. We enable over 30,000 artists to sell chart-eligible music directly to their fans through their storefront, fully white labeled. We've done 20 million albums, 200 number one records. We work kind of behind the scenes, often working with merch companies. So oftentimes managers don't know that they're already working with me, but we probably are. So yeah, no, we're really happy to be here and start to be able to.
Great. So I always like to go through the artist's journey step by step in an order that makes sense, really to bring this to life. So Tommy, we're going to start with you. So an artist released music, right? Direct to fan on their website using, Single. So why is direct to fan sales the foundation of an artist having long-term financial success?
I think I've been on the direct-to-consumer side pretty much my entire career, and I think that it wasn't only in music, but I think just everybody realizes that music is about 10 to 15 years pretty much behind every other industry. And you notice that 10 to 15 years ago, most businesses realized that they were getting disintermediated by Amazon and selling on that. So they were extracting rent through Amazon, all that kind of stuff. So finally, the labels and artists caught on and realized that, wait a minute, for me to actually create better margins, have better mailing lists, better data around who my purchasers are, knowing who they are, because that can affect all the other aspects of their business, that selling directly through their own storefront gave them the connection and control that they otherwise wouldn't have if they're using another platform, right? So everyone always complains that Spotify, iTunes doesn't tell you who your fans are. Oftentimes they can't legally do that, so people don't understand that that's just kind of how it works, because they're their customer, not yours technically, even though they are buying your music. But in the scenario where you are the one that's selling your own album, you're selling your own live stream, you're building your own fan clubs, all of that kind of stuff being paid by not using third-party platforms, no one can screw you over, because no one can take your money, no one can take your data, no one can take your fans. So for me, it's great to see something that I've been espousing for over 10 years start to get more attention, even like in Universal's own decks, they're now talking about direct-to-fan as being like the biggest pillar that they want to go after. And so we thought we were early on it, but apparently we were very early, and so that now it's starting to catch on, which is great.
And so just to reiterate, that's where you're going to have your highest profit margins on recorded sales and where you're going to collect the most fan contact information for long-term use. So very, very important and fundamental to your release strategy. But obviously you want to get your music out all over the world. And TuneCore's been doing that for a very long time. You guys are like the original distributor that everyone can access, and that completely revolutionized the music industry. So Brian, what sets TuneCore apart from other distribution platforms?
Yeah, I mean, I think you said it, right? We've been around for 20 years. And you think of how you were listening to music 20 years ago and how much that changed, right? And you think of all the artists that you can listen to now before the new ones. And so we started with the simple mission was get your music out. We help with distribution, right? You have a moment, you start some fans. You're like, okay, I want them to listen to here and here and in this country. So we help with that. But that's not enough anymore. And we've really changed how we operate as a company, right? So now audience development, which we'll talk a little bit more later, is we help you find additional fans, right? You have them hear this show, you're like, this is great. Where are they now? So we can help you put your music in front of new fans, right? No one else really gets to do that. When you're in your own music, right, you can then live off of publishing royalties. We also have a built-in publishing solution as well. So now we can help you get additional revenue streams. On top of that, we can then also show you where all your fans are, how you're performing. So let's say you had a great show in New Haven last week, right? And we're like, oh, I have fans there. I got a spike over here. Maybe I should do a promotion over here to find that. We put it all in one place so artists can be independent, stay independent, release the music they want, but also actually build careers off of it. And no one else does that. Also, we're still independent, right? I mean, who's been bought by Universal in the past couple of weeks, right? I mean, and who's gonna be bought in the future? If you wanna be an independent artist, there's not many choices left, and we will always be open and we'll be always for independent artists.
Amazing. Okay, so you're selling your music and your bundles on your website, you're distributing your music worldwide, but now it's time to promote that music. So Ryan, for people that may not have experienced Stationhead yet, can you explain what happens on the platform and why fans are so drawn to it?
Sure, yeah. I think the magic of Stationhead is really, it's community, right? It's that word, but done with the music. There's a magic that happens when all of the fans globally listen together, right? That's something that a whole generation missed out on a little bit on the internet. They're very siloed. And that's how we started. Like we understood there was a behavior going on, which is, hey, I'm listening. Are you listening? And we were communicating through all these different ways. But then when fans discovered Stationhead, they said, hey, we could do it here together. And that was the moment. That was the moment where we realized this behavior could be productized, and we could create a place for the fans, the best fans, to be in one place at once. So the artist isn't constantly trying to go, where are my fans? Where are my fans? They're going, hey, we're right here. And this special moment was when one of the great fandoms, it was Barty Gang, it was Cardi B, and all our fans are making a lot of noise that we're listening to your new record together here on Stationhead. She hops on just organically as could be. And trust me, we tried like every other startup. We need top down, we need a celebrity, we need this. But it was building for the fans and building the place they wanted, which was we want to listen together. We want to be a community. We want to support our artist, and we want to be seen. And then they were seen, right? Cardi jumps on, and they said this magical thing, which I think really changed the order of things, which is you need top down. You need, to pay a celebrity to do something, because we built it for the fans. The fans got the artist, and we heard that magical thing, which was, hey, Cardi, welcome to our channel, right? And at that moment, you realized, this is a place where you can empower the fan community and do all the great things that we've promised, over the years. And ever since then, we've just really continued to deliver and build for those fans, those mobilized fan groups. So that's the magic of Stationhead, listening together, driving support for the artist, and essentially making it all about the music again, too, which is special.
I love it. Okay, so again, you're selling your music on your website, you're distributing globally via TuneCore, you're engaging with your fans on Stationhead, but now it's starting to get a little bit overwhelming. So is this at what point, Dorian, should folks be turning to Groover, excuse me, to start building their team?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think artists can use Groover at very different stages of their careers. It could be for their first release, first ever release. They don't have a network. They don't know anyone. I think the main reason, and I'm sure it's the main reason we started this company is a lot of artists are sending emails to people. It could be journalists, could be managers, could be labels, and most of the time they don't hear back because on the other side, the managers, the labels, the blogs. At the time we started with blogs, they all are receiving hundreds of emails.
Can I add something to that? I've been a
Yes.
partner at management companies for like 20 years. I think there's one artist we've taken on that's cold pitched us, to your point. And
That's
it's not
great.
because we don't love them, but we're
Yeah.
just busy.
No, yeah, definitely. It's a big thing. And I was a music blogger when we started, and I received more emails per day than I had visitors on the website, which was a bit crazy when you think about it. And so, like this overflow, when we started, it was 20,000 new tracks per day on Spotify. Now it's 140,000, and it's not even counting all the fully AI-generated tracks. So it's crazy. It's overwhelming. And what we try to do is, how can we guarantee that when you reach out to somebody that can have impact for your career, could be your next manager, it could be the next label that signs you, it could be a journalist somewhere that will write a cool article about you or add you to their playlist. How do we make sure that they listen to your track and at least give feedback, positive or negative, and maintaining their editorial independence this way? And that's why we built that platform. And so many connections happened since then. Lots of artists that got really like moving things through that and build that start of a network that you need to get. Also, I think like one of the key things is a lot of artists have imposter syndrome. You make music, you don't know if it's good. You just have like people around you that tell you it's good. So when you get someone in Argentina that's like writing for an awesome like review and they write this awesome review about your music, it's also pushing you to move forward and keep on going, and making this connection that would have never happened is the whole goal of Groover.
Very cool. All right, so bringing it back all together, although Ryan is an artist as well. Harris, from the artist perspective, you grew up in New York City, but you've expanded internationally with the UK and Australia as some of your top markets. What specifically fostered this growth? Obviously, it's your sick live shows, but...
Thank you.
Yeah.
We haven't been to Australia or the UK yet, but I feel like to break it down, I think the UK, my music is very alt-rock driven, very similar to bands like The Killers, The Arctic Monkeys, Walk the Moon, Young the Giant. And in the UK, I mean, if you look back 20 years, when a lot of these bands broke, a lot of them broke in the UK, and our top market is London, and it's London by a long shot. And I think it's just the genre parallels, they just resonate maybe higher there than they would in the States. And then with Australia, about 2.5 years ago, I put out a cover of the KG Elephant song, Ain't No Rest of the Wicked, on TikTok. Overnight, before then, I was posting videos every day for like 3 months, and they were getting 200 plus views maybe. And this, within 24 hours, hit over 1 million. Since then, that cover over a few different videos is over 45 million views, over 4,500 user-generated videos. And those videos, some of them have gone viral themselves, and it has snowballed over TikTok, into Instagram, into YouTube Shorts on varying degrees. And I think that for some reason, again, people really like Cage the Elephant in that song in Australia, where I think my top 2 to 4 audiences on Spotify are places like Melbourne or Sydney. And I think you could just narrow it down to that cover just being very popular and that music being popular in that area. And then taking that information to my team with my manager, Jeremy, who's here, and my agents, something that we're really discussing is starting to potentially do like a UK tour, because the audience is there, and also maybe something in Australia in late 2025 or early 2026.
That is so smart. Touring is more expensive than ever. So instead of just booking shows or going to random countries because you want to, pay attention to those metrics, which TuneCore can also provide. A lot of these platforms can provide for you, and utilize that data to tour that much more efficiently, right? Instead of just hoping that, people show up. So, Tommy, we talk a lot about direct-to-fan and, how important it is financially and that long-term fan contact information collection. But what are some examples to bring to life direct-to-fan artist campaigns? How are artists successfully utilizing Single?
So it's a multitude of ways. During we've kind of done they're not pivots, we're kind of more evolution side of things in that same whole vein of saying if you can sell, you should be able to do it direct. So during COVID, we added in the ability to do ticketed live streams in the platform. Obviously, that was not, we saw it internally as not a long-term focus for us, but we also wanted to enable that as a functionality, knowing that eventually, hopefully, the pandemic would end, and obviously it did. But when the pandemic was over and it wasn't so much a revenue driver for the company anymore, I made the decision to not get rid of it as a tool because we saw it as a way to be able to still drive a compelling way to get people to the storefronts to then buy the album. So we've done things with folks like Kane Brown. I think the Neon Coast folks are here too. But where if you went to his site, you could watch a behind-the-scenes footage. But the call to action during the pre-order was to come watch that. They got their email addresses. They were able to watch the content. We just did one recently with Megan Maroney where she was doing just all the signed copies of the album. I personally went to the merch company and she was there and I helped them set up the live stream. It was fun. It's like a nice little fun thing to change a pace. And she just sat there for an hour with her friend and we mic'd them up and she just sat there signing the things and they just shot the shit and she sold a ton of them. But there's other ways that you can use content. Like one of the ones that was a year and a half, 2 years ago, it was the 30th anniversary for Zooropa for U2. And they came to us and it's difficult when a band is that big to get their time, right? And so how do you create these moments where, similarly in like a Stationhead kind of way, where you get all the fans in one place and the band doesn't really have to do anything? So they had a 30-year-old special from 1993 that they remastered the audio for, and we streamed it 4 times at prime time around the globe. And the goal was to sell through the reissue of the vinyl because it was a new colorway. But rather than the call to action becoming, hey, come buy the album that you already have a copy of, it was, hey, come relive this special from 30 years ago with remastered audio at these times and everybody there. And we put the flag of every country that the person that was chatting in was in there so they could see as it was flying by on the chat the country flag. And so they saw that it was a global presence thing. And so using a piece of content that they already had and obviously spent the time to remaster the audio, they sold through the vinyl, but the call to action was nothing about the vinyl. And so it was that kind of stuff to where you're able to mix and match the elements of saying, okay, we can use content, we can use these things, but the hook to get somebody, because usually if you're running ads and you're going on Instagram and you're saying, come buy the album, that's the worst call to action ever. Because like you're saying, you're basically convincing somebody to click through to buy something versus where you can change the psychology of it if you're just trying to get them to the storefront in the first place. So if you say, hey, we've got this exclusive piece of something or whatever that's only being run D2C, you've done step 1, which is get them to the storefront in the first place. So anyway, it's a long-winded way of saying you can use all of those moments, but drive them using better call to actions than just buying something.
Yeah, 100%. That's amazing. So Brian, can you share some of the successes that TuneCore artists have experienced as a result of your artist development platform, TuneCore Accelerator?
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Emily. And I think, Dorian hit the point, right? There's like, 100,000, 110,000 new songs being released daily, right? So if you're an artist, right, you're starting out, you have a viral moment, but not only competing against everything that's coming today, everything that yesterday, and you go all the way back. Or how I like to think of it is my daughter, who's 13, about a couple years ago, discovered both ABBA and the Beatles on the same day. But as an artist, how do you break through that noise, right? And so we built Accelerator for that, right? So you have these direct moments, right? As Tommy was talking about, you're kind of getting traction, but you need to find your fans elsewhere, right? So that all of a sudden you discover, I'm in London, or I'm going to go to Australia for that. So what we built with Accelerator is we can do that at scale. So we use machine learning to identify your songs that we think will match with fans all over the world. And so we've launched about 3 years ago. In that time, we've produced 50 billion new streams for artists. We help fans discover 15 billion new releases. This year alone, we created 24 billion new streams for artists. So we have about half a million artists in the program. And the cool thing about it helps artists at each level, right? So you think that milestone of like, hey, are people like my music, right, that you spoke about. For 14,000 artists this year, we got them their first royalty threshold. So if you're starting out, getting your first paid for music, that's a huge point, right? Like you could probably remember the first time you got paid for the gig. You're like, okay, people like my music. This is why they don't let me sing. But we also do it at every stage, right? So you think first royalty streams, significant, right? But we also helped another 14,000 artists break through the first million stream barriers. And we also help with Accelerator because we can match the releases with the fans that we think connect. We helped 500 artists cross their first 100 million stream barriers. So we can do it at every level of their career. And I think back to your point, this is where TuneCore stands out, right? We distribute the music. We can then use Accelerator to help you really grow so you can have an independent career like Harrison, Ryan, and people have kept with, so you can make your own music your own way.
Very cool. So Ryan, you are an incredible artist. How has your own experience as an artist shaped the way Stationhead is built?
It's a cool question because, this happened. This didn't happen like years after my career ended. I remember we thought of Stationhead like backstage at the Bowery Ballroom in New York City one night, and it was around the time. Well, first of all, I think there's a lot of people out here all week. We've all been a part of this great conversation around. I mean, everyone's here to make music better and solve these problems and help artists all the time. That's everyone that chose music is there for the right reason. There is another nuance of the people that have lived it and before D2C, it was selling shit out of your van and trailer, outside the show. So there is nuance in the reality of how you come up, and being lucky enough to place that into the product, I think made a big difference. And that's connected to, seeing so many platforms assume people wanted that tip jar or, the handout, because we think they'll support the artist more. And but then there's the nuance of that's not what we want. I've been at the merch booth where somebody wants to hand me $100 bill. And I go, what are you doing? This feels really weird. And I'm not into whatever might come after this. And Australia. And then you realize, man, the guy's saying, I've been listening to your music for 10 years. He shows you a tattoo on his arm. He's like, I don't think I've ever paid for any. Like the industry had a problem understanding what we were even selling, right? And putting all of that into a product where it's well, where are we making our money? And at the time I started a TuneCore account, I just, after my 4th major record label, I owned my masters for the first time since I was a kid, since Madonna signed me when I was in college, so I was where's the value here? So I did put that into the mechanics of how Stationhead was built. And that's why you log in with your streaming platform of choice. We were how do we build community around the consumption? How do I get those streams up? I just put my music up there in this wild, wild west of a world where everyone could put music up now. But I do have fans and I do have people. But, when I handed my last record into a major record label, I remember thinking in my own Bon Iver way, I shaved my head. I was I'm handing this art in that almost killed me. And one of the great record makers of our time, she says back to me, she takes it, and she meant well, but she says, all right, now we need content. I was oh my God, what did I just hand you? And I know how the world works, and there's incredible creators out there making cool content every day on platforms. But again, it was what about where's the music? How do we make the content around the music? And I can get a million likes, taking my picture of my amazing, omelet at Mogador, shout out Mogador in Brooklyn. But that's cool, but now we have to be travel agents. We have to, all these things we have to do. And so to get back to your question, how can we get the social element of me hanging out with my best fans around the music where it actually drives up the consumption, where I could sell them a t-shirt right there, where I could see them and celebrate them without having to feel like I'm holding a tin cup up in the venue, and that nuance I think mattered when building Stationhead.
100%. That makes total sense. So Dorian, can you share examples of some of the teams and partnerships that have come together for artists on Groover?
Yeah, this is not what. Okay. Yeah. First thing I wanted to say is that I want to concur to that. One of the also reasons why we built Groover was so that the creators and the professionals would actually listen to the music first, so that they would, the first thing they would do is listen to the music. We don't show the social media numbers, we don't show the Spotify streams on the platform itself. It's just about the creator or the professional listening to the music first and saying, do I like it or not? And that was the big thing here, is it's democratizing the network for these artists that don't have it, and this connection can be built on just curator loving the music. And if I take the example of Glacio that's playing like tonight, I discovered him through an artist that I discovered through Groover completely randomly. He submitted to my blog. I was like, this is the best track I've listened to in years on Groover, and I was like, I need to talk to that person. And then we clicked and everything, and then a whole thing happened from it. He was playing at South by on our showcase and all the showcases this year. So it's kind of connections, everything it is about. And to give some examples, I think we had some really great examples now in France that the market is really mature. We had a really cool record label called Cracky Records, and that was the label of, if some people are familiar with like Agar Agar or L'Impératrice, like very cool like French band. So, and they sign like one artist per year, and the artist they signed this year is an artist they discovered on the platform. So we're like, okay, this is exactly why like this is working. And what they're doing is like they giving insane feedback to artists. Everybody's loving it. And they use those credits to promote their own roster to like playlists and media outlets and everything. And that's like a full circle thing here that is cool for artists, that is cool for record labels, the owners that are using it. So super excited about that. We also have a French rapper. She's insane. And she's growing so fast. And
what's her name?
She's called Josh Shani. So you can check her out. She's like so good. She's like killing it on TikTok and Instagram. But it took her like 5 years to go this way. And we got her like through Groover. She got to play at some great showcase festivals, great festivals. She got selected by Apple Music Up Next as like in that program. And now like she's really pumping off. And she just signed to Vagram, which is like a really cool independent record label. So yeah, these kind of stories like from artists that were there with us for like years. I'm thinking of like one last one is this artist called Felix Antonio, and he was playing with the band, and they had like massive like things happening on YouTube with their tracks, and he was singing only in English, and was growing there, and he got a lot of placements through playlists on Groover. Then he launched his solo project, and he got detected by a really great label, and he's really growing now. And all of these like stories, like the common point is like it's taking years. It's taking years, taking dedication, taking like a lot of connections. And Groover for sure doesn't suffice. Like creating connection like that is just like an added thing. You need to do a lot. You need to produce content and deliver it on social media for sure. But it's helping. It's helping. And these connections can go a long way to the reason why you actually one day after like, like I love this quote like that we all know about. It's taking like 10 years to pop off like in one day, overnight. Yeah, it's like overnight success takes like 10 years. But yeah, no, it's very true, and I think like Groover is contributing in that way. Yes.
Definitely. And we have a lot of world-class industry professionals in the audience. How can they get involved as experts on Groover?
Oh, you can apply directly. We have a team that's reviewing all applications, and we'll make you go through like the guidelines to how to use it well. But definitely, and now it's improving a lot. We have all the tags and everything. You can really say, okay, I want to receive that kind of music. You can really like focus on a specific area if that's your expertise. So no, you should apply and try it out, and you'll see if it's for you or not. And there's no engagement, so it's cool.
Quick response to the content creation, because you're so right. Obviously, you need content in this noisy world, but the thing that I like seeing happening more and more is, especially we see it on Stationhead, which is when the fans are mobilized together, they're lifting a lot of that weight. It's like a grassroots political campaign, and you know the artist, the politician will come to Brooklyn and bring bagels and take pictures, but they know when they leave that grassroots old school music street team stuff is still happening. So it's like as long as you could say these are the people that are working for you, I think that's like the future too, where the fans are doing a lot of that heavy lifting. You know, they're mobilized, they're smart.
Yeah, totally. And I love when artists create content and they bring their fans in it. Like I love like the best way. Sometimes I'm discovering artists and songs just because like they do this content where they make their best friends listen to their track in the car for the first time and they're reacting to it. And it's like it gets you to like, oh, that's like the kind of like reaction that music and like the emotions it can produce, and it's like a great way to produce content.
Very cool. So one last question for Harrison, and then we'll do a quick little speed round to wrap up. Can you share a little bit about the T-shirt giveaway you launched for email addresses, and why is that direct-to-fan data so important for you to communicate with your fans?
Yeah, well, I think a question that a lot of independent artists ask themselves is,
how do I get people to actually care about me and invest in me as an artist? And in my brain, and I think a lot of other people, it's like you need to give something to the fans that is tangible, that in their head sparks, oh, like I am a part of this journey. I have a piece of them, and because they gave a piece of their project and their art, that maybe I'll invest in them. And the way that this ad campaign works is targeting a bunch of the places where I have markets for live shows, and also maybe just developing markets in the U.S. where we're looking to tour later down the line. And in return for a T-shirt, we are collecting their forever Spotify pre-save. So that means they get all of our upcoming releases automatically saved into their libraries on whether it's Spotify, Apple, or the other platforms that offer pre-saves. And they're also giving me their email. So it feeds into the discovery where if they pre-saved this, let's say 3 months ago, and we just announced the spring tour, we're hitting up 25 cities, and they live in one of the areas of the cities, I now have their email and can say, oh, we're going to be playing in Columbus on April 12th. They'll see that a month before. They already have a T-shirt that was given to them for free. And they're like, oh, this guy's a cool dude. I am going to go to his show. I'll wear the T-shirt. And maybe because I found him on the internet, he had like a cool TikTok reel, Instagram video, dark ad, I'm going to buy another shirt. Or I'm going to buy his CD that he just put out. So it's really just, I think, using the artist funnel, getting people in from social media, giving them something tangible, and then meeting them in real life. And I know for me personally, like we've been running these dark ads for a lot of the markets we've gone to, and we've been starting to do more heavy touring the past 6 months, and going to new markets and seeing 100+ people in these places the first time that we go has just been such a validating, insane experience. And at the merch tables being like, yeah, we found you on these Instagram dark ads in Rochester, New York on a Thursday night. It's like, cool. So yeah, it's just really collecting that information, being able to reach these fans and seeing that real kind of what you were saying, like the guerrilla, like grassroots marketing really come into play, and monetizing your audience, which is for an independent artist is huge because this stuff is expensive. So you got to really get it where you can.
Definitely. So I know this is hard to do in a couple seconds, but for each of you, what's next for your platforms, and or where are you at creatively? And Ryan, you're allowed to answer both.
I guess I'll start real quick. The platform Stationhead, I think this is just the beginning of getting the authenticity and the validation of the fans. Like you see a lot of the real top down. You mentioned the UMG deck. We're actually, or you did, like we're in it this year, and or one of the companies that they backed. And the mistake that when you see the real heavy top down global initiative people setting up, when they talk about Superfans, it gets me a little bit. The way NFTs were to blockchains, I'm like, hold on, don't say Superfan like that, because oftentimes these folk are really talking about done the wrong way. A lot of people are talking about we can make more money off of fans, and we know fans are nothing new. It's like we have to. What I've learned about building Stationhead, man, these people are smart, they're sophisticated, they're professionals. These are like, you can't talk down to them like, oh, you're going to buy this because we made an extra one. Like there's like a few that works on, but like let's be real.
They'll call you out on that.
Yeah, they want it. So it'll come in the end. You got to build with authenticity and trust them. So for us, it's more of that. It's more of that in that space. And then creatively, I'm playing here tomorrow night, right on the stage. Let's go.
Let's go down the line.
I could give you my roadmap. You can come talk to me. Right now, we're working on pre-releases. Basically, it's a new way for you can pre-order an album. You can listen to one song or whatever, how many songs off of the album, but maintaining chart eligibility when the actual album comes out. So it's a nice way to boost your charting and your sales and stuff.
Dorian?
I mean, like what I love right now about Groover is that with all these AI companies and AI music generating AI music companies that are pumping and everybody talking about that, we actually there and connecting actual humans together, and we feel like completely like sometimes I feel like, are we old-fashioned or are we like still relevant on that? But it's super cool to see that it's still happening and people still need actual real connections with real humans there. So we're really leaning onto that. And the way we're doing it with Groover now is trying to bring more services around marketing and promotion and discovery We build a lot of new features and new elements. Now we're trying to aggregate them all together and address them. We're still growing worldwide, in the US, also in South America and Europe, in many different markets. We translated the website and we're trying to build local communities everywhere, which is a lot of time, but super exciting at the same time. So I'm loving doing this. And creatively, I started producing music a year ago. Yeah, I use Groover. I paid with my money. Yeah. I didn't get. I'm under average of the results an artist getting, but I was super positively surprised with what I was getting. I got some great insight about it. Placements on playlists that were nice as well. I just finished a track. We'll see when it goes. And I'm DJing as well, so yeah, it's fun.
Harrison?
Yeah, so I guess creatively, that's everything I do. Later tonight, we're playing next door in Cahoots at 8 p.m. for the Take Action South by Southwest showcase. I'll be there. Other than that, just launched the spring tour with a bunch of dates across across America, I guess, and finishing an album, just putting out other music and just living the artist life. Through TuneCore.
That's great segue.
Also,
Bring us home,
River's
Brian.
awesome too, and I'm excited to check out your guys' platforms.
Awesome.
We also work with them too, right?
Yeah, definitely.
It's pretty good.
I mean, so look, the thing we want is independent music out in the world, right? We know discovering your fan, discovering new artists is amazing. You want them to keep making great music, like Ryan and Harrison are doing. At TuneCore, we want to keep making it easier, right? We want the distributions to go faster. We want to make it easier for you to figure out where your fans are. For us to help you find new fans, right? Down the road, obviously one thing is funding, right? And a lot of artists take deals because they need that, and then they're really happy when they get out of those deals. We're going to put resources together to make that easier, where you can get funding and still keep your rights, still keep your control, and still make great independent music. So, our biggest thing is getting independent music out and getting it heard.
Great. Well, thanks so much to MMF. Thanks so much to Let Music Fill My World. Thanks so much to Bands in Town. Thanks so much to Artists for Action. And stay warm out there. Thanks. Give it up for this amazing panel.
They don't work anyway. Yeah, you can do it.
It's actually working, but not working. It's kind of, I don't know. Okay.
Good job. Yeah, thank you. No, you're in the center of attention, though, which is what you want, right?